And yeah, this is day two of trying this live stream. As you can see, I got a little bit of a swollen eye there. I got into a bar fight last night, and man, I'm struggling today. Kidding. No, it's just a sty. I get them from time to time, and yeah, it kind of discouraged me from jumping on here. But you know what? It is what it is. I want to touch base with you guys. I wasn't able to get on yesterday. When I was able to get on, the audio wasn't working. I'm hoping it's working today. We'll see how it goes. If you guys start joining and somebody says something, we'll deal with it at that point. But so let's get into it. Yesterday, I started to talk about some of the critical mistakes we make when we're trying to get sober and stay sober, especially when we're sober and we're trying to stay sober. We there's things that I wrote down 7 things, and they're things that we maybe do or don't do that lead us back into drinking. But before I get into that, I want to share with you guys what happened yesterday, how it pertains to sobriety, how it pertains to staying alcohol free, and just how, all these things in life, they kind of are intermingled. You know what I mean? But yesterday, I got on here. I was planning on getting on at 10. I posted it. I let you guys know what I was planning on doing. And what happened was I got to my destination. I was set up. I was ready to go. I was even there early, like to get my thumbnail on, to get my title on, to get everything going. And what happened was I hit play. I hit it earlier than I anticipated being on there. It was like 9:55. I was ready to go. And I before I hit play for about 5 minutes, I heard this truck behind me, and it was making these loud hydraulic noises, going like every like 30 seconds, and then it finally stopped. So I'm like, I think we're good. So so at that point, I was able to just be like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm ready to go. So I hit play, started talking, got into my spiel, got about into point number two, and I hear a tap on my window. And I look over, and this guy has me roll my window down. He says, "Can you move? I'm in the middle of a shredding event." So that explains why I was hearing those hydraulic noises. I was hearing the paper shredder behind me, this truck. And I said, I gave him a thumbs up. I'm like, yeah, yeah, sure, no problem. But really, in my mind, I was thinking, F you, man. I'm right in the middle of a live stream. And I don't know that if he could see it or not, but at the same time, I just gave him a thumbs up. He walked away, and I don't remember what I said on the live stream, but I ultimately clicked out of it. I got out of it, and for those of you guys that are here, can you hear me? I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Just let me know down in the chat. I'm like, you know what? Forget this. I was already feeling like self-conscious about this eye thing. And good morning, Samuel. Welcome, Alexander. And so what happened was, I I was like, all right, you know what? Forget this. So this eye thing was bothering me. I was like just coming out of a cold, I had a cold all week, and I shut it down. I deleted it, and then I pulled up in this parking lot. Now, I was in a spot now where I'm not usually very comfortable being like right in the middle of a parking spot. Like there's cars going by, there's cars parking next to me, there's people walking by. And for some reason, when I'm parked in a parking lot and I start on these live streams or on a video, there's people that come up to my window. Like, I don't know why that is. It's like they know I'm on a live stream and they want to come over and mess it up. So I try not to do that right in the middle of a parking lot. So anyway, I'm like, you know what? At this point, I don't even care. So I pressed play, and I started talking. And Owen, who is a subscriber, he's also on my sobriety channel. He tuned in. He said, "Hey Samuel, can you hear me?" He said, I'm glad to see you, but I can't hear you. And I'm like, that's weird. So I took the microphone off, turned it off, took it out, and tried it that way. I said, "Can you hear me now?" And he said, "Nothing." There was no reply. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I don't even know if anybody can hear me. So I'm gonna just turn this off. Forget it. I turned it off. I was only like 2 or 3 minutes into it anyway. Deleted it. All right, now I back up. I go to a spot where there's no cars, there's nobody around. I hit play. I'm not sure if the audio's working or not, but nobody's joining. And it's like a zero. There's nobody there. And I'm like, that's not atypical for like the first couple minutes. Sometimes when I start these live streams, a lot of times it takes a few minutes for people to join on. But once we get rolling, it's good. But I was like 5 minutes into it and nobody was joining. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if people are busy or, because I looked at my analytics the other night and it looked like a lot of people are on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this was a Tuesday yesterday. So I'm like, I don't know if, people are just busy or if my audio's not working, but I'm going to keep going and I'm going to get through the points that I wanted to make. I had them jotted down, I had them written down. Welcome, Sadie. Welcome, Astro. Welcome, Gino. Um, I'm just gonna go through these points, and I'm not gonna spend like I usually spend at least a half an hour on these live streams. I'm just gonna spend, especially if nobody joins on, I'll spend 10 minutes. I'll go through my 7 or whatever points that I had, and then I'll move on. And so I did that. I went to my next destination. It was like 10 minutes down the road. I logged in. Uh, the live stream had already uploaded. Now, a lot of times when they are like 20, 30, 40 minutes or more, it might take a couple hours for the live stream to upload on there. Sometimes I go to work and I don't see it until the end of the day. Then it's on there. Sometimes it's not even on there till overnight and to the next day. But this was already on there because it was a short one. It was like 10 minutes, and I hit play and there's no audio. So I delete it, and I'm like, you know what? I hope the rest of this day goes better than this live stream situation did because, man, I just spent an hour and I got like nothing accomplished. So at that point, my mood is kind of rotten. I'm like, uh, I'm like, man, you know what? I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna start my day, and I'm gonna go from there. And so I just ended up doing my thing. I had got a couple more errands done. Got home. I'm still feeling good. I'm coming out of that cold, but what happened was I started to kind of, think about in my mind like, how is this related to sobriety? How can that situation be related to sobriety? And it really did resonate and relate to what my topic was yesterday, which was how we can mess up in our sobriety, what kind of things that we can do. And it doesn't always go perfectly. A lot of times when we're in our alcohol free journey, maybe we're a week in, maybe we're a month in, maybe we're a year in, it doesn't really matter how far along we're in, we can still have triggers to drink. We can still have issues that we deal with on a daily basis that can trigger us to want to drink. Maybe it can trigger us to just have an urge to escape. Maybe it can have some kind of an impact on us that makes us feel like we need something to curb that anger, to curb that anxiety, to curb whatever it is that we are dealing with in our day. Now, I'm 5+ years alcohol free. Um, so, I mean, I'm solidified in it. I was pretty much solidified around year 3 without needing and feeling like I wanted to escape. But that first like year and first couple years, actually, until I got to like around year 2.5 or 3 years, I still was seeking an escape of some kind. And welcome, Jonathan. And uh, but the one of so I wrote down these 7 key points, and the most important ones were kind of on the bottom, but I'm gonna raise those up to the top and see if you guys can relate to that. So, um, welcome, Omar. 6 a.m. prayer. That is awesome. That's a perfect way to start your day. That's important for me. Yep, I pray. I read scripture every morning, and getting started, uh, you know, with the word, with putting our armor on for the day, being ready and being prepared because the evil spirits, the demon, the alcohol demon, especially if we're just trying to get sober and newly sober, can come calling, and we need to be able to ward that off. It doesn't necessarily just go away. It's there and it's present, and sometimes it's dormant, but when it comes out, we need to be ready, we need to be prepared, and we need to be able to handle it properly. So that's awesome, Omar, and I appreciate you sharing that. Um, so one of the bigger ones is fab, fading effect bias. So I didn't know what that was. I never heard of that term until I quit drinking, and I read This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. I read a book called Alcohol Explained by William Porter, which really helped me kind of figure out the psychology of alcohol and its addictive nature and how our personalities play a role in that. Um, so in that reading of that quitlet, I started to learn more things. And one of the things that I learned was fab, fading effect bias. So what is that? What it is after a little bit of time goes by, it could be a few days, it could be a week, a month, a year, it could be far down the line in our alcohol-free journey. But somewhere along the line, we have these thoughts to drink, and we forget about all the turmoil, all the bad things that alcohol caused us, and we only romanticize alcohol. We think of all the good things that alcohol gave us, all the feelings of euphoria that it gave us, and it made us, it makes us think positively about alcohol. That voice is tempting. That voice is trying to, persuade ourselves to go drink. It's trying to persuade ourselves um, to escape. It's trying to, bring us back into these things that we used to do, our old patterns, and pull us back in. And we need to recognize that voice, and we need to call it for what it is. So it's fading effect. The alcohol was never benefiting us. Never. It was never helping. It was not in the long term, maybe in a short term for a little bit of time, 20 minutes up to a couple hours. But if you continue to drink and you're a binge drinker or were one like I was, you know that never led to anything good. So when I think about those things and play it forward, uh, and think about how I'll feel while I'm drinking after like 4 or 5 drinks, 10 drinks the next day, I talk myself out of it because I don't want to feel that way anymore. I didn't like it. I didn't like feeling drunk anymore, and I certainly didn't like the hangover. So the negatives were outweighing the positives by the time I was able to finally address my drinking. Let me get to some of these comments, and then I'll get to point number two. Um, bu- 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 Welcome, Hobo. Welcome, Dragon. And yeah, be positive and determined. Absolutely, 100%. That is a huge thing. Our voice, the voice inside our heads, is a serious thing that we need to address when we first get alcohol free, because that voice, it doesn't just get better and more positive and helpful for us because we quit drinking. In a lot of ways, it gets louder, it gets more hurtful, it gets more persuasive and more sinister. And so I made a video on that last week, and um, and it's important to recognize that voice and call it out for what it is when it comes knocking. It's trying to tempt us back into drinking. It needs us to not push it down or push it away or push it out of our life completely, because that voice can be helpful for us. Sometimes we need that voice to, you know, help us stay skeptical of something or question something, or but the more we recognize that that voice is not helping, especially the one that's the alcohol voice that's telling us that alcohol is going to help us. That one's the one that needs to be put in its place. But the other one, the one that's kind of, telling us that we're not enough, the one that's telling us that, we don't fit in anywhere, or the one that's telling us that, we don't have a purpose in life, or any of these negative things. That's the voice that we can help out, and we can actually use it as a tool to stay sober, because it just needs to be groomed. It needs to know, what it is that we need. Instead of trying to hold us down, we need to support ourselves. We need to have that inner voice within us that's telling us better things, positive things, things that make us feel better about ourselves, lift us up. Because when we don't have community, I mean, we're not always right there able to talk to a therapist or talk to a friend or talk to a group of people. We don't always have that at our fingertips. So it's important to work on that part and that mental part in our minds, that voice, and groom it to a way that when we are struggling, we can lean on that voice and it'll help us instead of hurt us or lead us to drinking or doing drugs or whatever. Welcome, Tristan. Uh, Proud of you. It takes a lot of self control, which can be excruciating. Absolutely, it can be. It is uh, when we are in the midst of drinking. Uh, we may think that we have things under control. We may feel like we're functioning. That's a huge word, functioning alcoholic. Like it's some kind of a badge of honor that we're functional, and we can still drink massive amounts of alcohol. It can't be further from the truth. It is not something to be proud of that we can drink 10, 15, 20 drinks and still get up and go to work the next day. Anybody that tells you that they are functioning properly by drinking that amount of alcohol is lying not only to us but lying to themselves. And that's one of the things that we can learn through recovery. We start to figure things out a little bit for ourselves. We can't control anybody else. If they want to continue to lie to themselves, then they can go right ahead. I don't care. I learned that the only thing I can control in this world is myself. And that's one of the beautiful parts of getting alcohol free, staying alcohol free 100%, and getting on with our life. New Year's resolution, Alvin, welcome. Number one, become more like Jesus Christ. That is a wonderful goal. That's an awesome resolution. Now that we're getting close to the end of the year, I think it's a great time to start thinking about our resolutions. Um, I had, I've had one or two resolutions every year since I quit drinking. This year was to read a book a month, and I've done that. So I'm going to continue on with that. Every goal that I've made and every resolution that I've made um, for these last 5, going on 6 years of sobriety now, has stayed with me in some capacity moving forward. So I'm adding on to my daily positive habits, and every time I do that, I'm pushing away those bad habits, those negative habits, and they get more and more less. They get less and less important to me. I don't go out of my way to, I get, do those bad habits. You might call it sin, uh, whatever you want to call it, bad habit. I don't go out of my way or make a plan to do those things anymore. Needless to say, I'm a human being like anybody else, so I'm going to fall into temptation here and there or fall into bad habits here and there. But what I've done is create an ritual for myself each day by doing those resolutions that has helped me have a structure that I did not have as a drinker. I tried very, very hard. I think a lot of us, we do try to better ourselves while we're drinking or stuck in addiction or both. And it feels like we're spinning our wheels. Like that stuff feels good, it feels helpful, but we don't stick to it, and then we ultimately end up just back into our same patterns of alcohol is the most important thing. Our time to ourselves where we isolate is the most important thing. um, Fixing what's broken doesn't become a priority anymore, and all these things, and that's what addiction does. It's insidious that way. So good on you, Alvin. uh, uh, Tristan, God bless, and I hope you continue to grow in the best version of yourself. You deserve it, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and pointing out the deserve part. I like that because uh, a couple times in my recovery early on, I would tell my therapist that I feel like when things go badly in my life, that I deserve it. And he was like, kind of like, let's stop there. Let's look into that. Why do you feel like you deserve pain and misery? That's not normal. And I was glad that I, had those therapy visits because that's something that is worth investigating. Uh, I, I just, I thought that's the way that life was supposed to be. I think a lot of us, when we're addicted to alcohol or drugs or whatever it is that we're addicted to, and we're beating ourselves up and we're hard on ourselves, we just think that it's normal, and that's just the way that it's supposed to be when things don't work out for us. And it leads to negative self-talk. It leads to depression, anxiety, and addiction. And so that was a spark that I needed to be able to say, like, you know what, you're right. I deserve grace. I deserve to treat myself the way that I would treat my best friend. A lot of times we treat other people better than we treat ourselves, and that's backwards. It needs to start with, we treat ourselves. I mean, yes, we do need to treat people right, but we need to treat ourselves with this grace and this worthiness, and like we do deserve happiness. We do deserve to feel joy. We do deserve to live a life that is inspirational or motivational or healthy. I mean, we deserve, as human beings, we're born and we deserve that. And somewhere along the line, I forgot it. I think a lot of us forget it, and then we get wrapped up in our own lives, our addiction, and we just think that it's a normal thing to go through life and feel like crap. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, Tristan. I appreciate that, and appreciate those kind words. New Year's coming up, yeah, Alvin, and number two, health is next. Health is next, and wealth. Great. That's awesome. Actually, my new video this morning that came out this morning is on how much I spent on alcohol. And if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's I spent over $100,000 in my lifetime, at least, on alcohol. And I drank for close to 30 years. So, I mean, if you count all those years of drinking and add it all up, it looks like a lot of money. I mean, but in the grand scheme of things, it was $100 a week. And that's just drinking at home or whatever. But when I quit drinking, and I didn't quit because I wanted to save money, it wasn't even on my radar actually. But as the time went on, in that first couple months, I started to recognize that my bank account wasn't going down like it was, and it wasn't as much of a struggle to keep the basic um, idea, like the basic balance of what I thought I wanted to have in my account. Uh, it wasn't hard to keep it above that anymore, and it was because I'm not spending all my money on alcohol anymore. I'm not a huge shopper, or I don't go out and buy extravagant things very much, or go on trips, or go like spend a lot of money. I mean, yeah, I like to go out to dinner once a week or so, go to lunch sometimes, or go shopping, take my daughter places, go to museums, things like that. But for the most part, I'm not going out and spending a ton of money. But so not drinking and not spending the money on that is almost like another income. You know what I mean? We can use that money and we can save it. We can spend it on discretionary things. We can spend it on frivolous things, whatever we will feel like doing with that money. But yeah, it's like having extra money coming in. So so that's a huge goal. Health and wealth, awesome. Looking out your window from San Francisco, I bet that's nice out there. We've got 40 degrees here in Michigan. We got a foot of snow last week, so I'm not sure if it's all going to melt today. Then we're going to have like a brown Christmas. But at any rate, just when the sun is out here is good enough for me. So I can imagine it's probably what, in the maybe 60s out there in San Fran. Um, Tristan says, I have severe OCD, which I'm still struggling with, a lot of urges, but I know things will get better. Yeah, it's a process. Just like quitting drinking is a process, working on that compulsive behavior, because I have it too. I have it too. My wife has it too. We both admit that. And maybe it doesn't go away completely, but it certainly can get better if we can kind of let things play out more and not try not to control everything. I mean, like I said, I still do it. Um, if you have kids in the house, it's a hard thing to have OCD because kids are messy. Kids leave stuff around the house. So that's one of those things that's a work in progress. But we have three adult children, and they're all moved out now. We just have one left that's 11, and so, man, dealing with one and not four is so much easier. But at the same time, we can keep on her easier. So she kind of got the short end of the stick on that. When they were all four all at home, a lot of times we just exhausted ourselves trying to keep everybody in order, and it was nearly impossible, especially when they were teenagers. So I get what you're saying though. The OCD thing, I wish I didn't have it like I did, but like I said, it's better. I don't feel like I need to control as much as I used to, whether that's at home or at work, or on YouTube, or just in general in the world, going out there, and people have a way of pressing your buttons or triggering you a lot of times. And I've noticed over the years that I don't let those words, those actions affect me the way that they used to. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't drink anymore, so I'm not as angry and irritable. And those were the main reasons I wanted to quit in the first place, because of my anger and my irritability. So I've been able to kind of nip those in the bud. Uh, Joseph, if you could meet your younger self, what would you say? So I did actually in my video last night about spending, or this morning about all the money that I spent on alcohol. Uh, One of the things that I would say to my younger self, and it's not about money, although in that video it was about like, take your money and set it aside and don't spend it so much on alcohol. Maybe spend a little on it, but don't spend $100,000 by the time you're 40 years old on alcohol, because that money could have been compounded and could be over $1 million at this point, you know? uh, but I have watched a few videos in prep for that video that I made. And one of the things that I watched was a video where this guy was kind of talking about what he would tell his younger self. And I felt like the message was, it was on point to a certain degree, but then he kind of lost me because it was like my word of advice to my younger self was going to be different than his. Mine was, I would tell my younger self that to rely on my prayer and count on it more than anything else. Um, because I mean, I was always somebody who prayed, but it, I started this prayer when I was about 11 years old, and I had it every day and I prayed it every day. But at the same time, I turned to alcohol at 15, and then marijuana at 17, and then and then I became addicted uh, at an early age, and I had this prayer and these chemicals battling each other every day, and the alcohol and the weed were winning out. And eventually, I quit the weed because of a DUI, but I continued drinking and pretty much really got more involved in drinking. Drinking became the only thing that I used, and the prayer and the addiction to alcohol were battling each other every day. And like I said, the prayer helped, but the alcohol was always winning out. But I would tell my younger self to rely on my faith and my prayer more, and recognize and realize that my prayers may not be answered today, but someday they will be. And it might not be a year from now, 10 years from now. And in my case, it was at 42 when I quit drinking. That was the biggest prayer that I had prayed uh, leading up to me quitting finally. And that was what really did it. I begged and I got down on my hands and knees, and I asked God to take me out of my pain and out of my addiction. And it was a couple weeks later that that's what happened. And although that wasn't, I learned later in like year 2 and 3 about more about my faith and more about myself and more about God and and the role that my faith played in my life. So that first few years in there, I didn't really use a lot of prayer. I mean, I did pray, but I didn't like, it wasn't like a focal point. It wasn't until like I really was solidified in being alcohol free, and I found a pastor and found a church that I resonated with, and then I started to listen to him. I started to talk to the church about my sobriety. I started to open up more and be honest about where I was, and having that faith and that confidence in my faith and in God allowed me to be open about my journey. Up until that point, I didn't really want anybody to know that I wasn't drinking, because if I opened up about that, they would naturally judge me or think that I don't drink because I had a problem with alcohol, or judge me for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Could be anything. Could be my swollen eye. Could be my rosy cheeks. Could be whatever. But those are just a couple obvious things that sometimes I struggle with. Um, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. This is just the flesh. It doesn't really matter. And um, I'm here for God's glory, and that's it. So that's my purpose. That's what I do this for. That's what I do. That's what I get up and do. My daily routines. I do that for God's glory. So not to get too deep in faith, but that's what I would tell my younger self. Just believe and have faith, and know that your prayer is gonna work. And maybe that would have, helped a little bit. I mean, I never really had the father figure, the role models that I felt like I needed growing up. I didn't have the structure. I didn't have those things. And maybe if I trusted in the Lord more and just leaned on him to be my father when I was a younger person, that may have been, because even if we do have those good role models, people are flawed. Human beings are so flawed. uh, there's nobody that's going to escape this perfectly. And so, yeah, I mean, I listen to people, I learn from people, but I don't take it as gospel. You know what I mean? I don't take anything that they might say that's hurtful. I don't take it as gospel. Anything that they're going through, that um, they're taking out their pain on me. I don't. It's not gospel to me. It is what it is. But my faith has been huge and helpful in my dealing with all that. So uh, let's go through some more of these. Alvin said he's getting ready to have some crab and ribeye. Oh, nice, surf and turf. Yeah, that sounds good. And you must be having lunch out there right now. It's still, oh, it's 11 o'clock here. So yeah, I'm getting hungry too. Uh, Gordo, welcome. Gordo's dealing with addiction. Uh, kind of a mess. Well, you're at the right place. I'm glad that you're here. Check out some of my videos. Um, Subscribe, uh, or also in my all of my videos, I have a link pinned to my Facebook group, so you can join there. Uh, we're on there. It's a private group, so it's a little bit different than YouTube, but you can join there, and it's a group of like-minded people. We're there 24/7. We can help you get through whatever it is you're trying to get through. Um, but yeah, therapy helped me tremendously. Weekly therapy, having somebody that went through addiction themselves, having this therapist that specialized in drug and alcohol recovery was huge. Somebody that can relate to that, because a lot of people can't. They don't get it. Um, let's see here. Life is shitty. I mean, yeah, it can be if we let it. And sometimes those shitty things happen to us, and it's out of our control, and we can't do anything about it. Some of the stuff we bring on ourselves, like I was talking about earlier. Uh, some of the things, a lot of the things I brought on myself because of my drinking and my refusal to better myself. That was those were a couple huge things. Not that that's what you're going through, but that's I noticed that quitting drinking and fixing what was really broken, even though it took a couple years, 2, 3 years to get to that bottom, finally get to that meat, that root of the causes of what was going on with me. Um, as hard as it was still an adventure. It was still enlightening. It was still something that I'll never take for granted. It's something that I felt like I was put there through to do and to go through. But yeah, some of this stuff's out of our control, and life can be hard, and life can be shitty, and you got my sympathy for that, my empathy. Um, Tristan says having a positive mindset on everything and seeing the good, even in the bad or small things, helps a lot over time. 100%. Uh, Actually, that's one of the things that we need to keep in our forefront um, on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, minute by minute, even sometimes, depending on what we're doing. If we're at work or we're dealing with kids or we're dealing with tough situations, uh, it's important to remember that we have to go through those things, and it can be a curse or it can be a blessing. Depends on how you want to look at it. But I look at it like it's a blessing as well, because that does help. Tools in the toolbox. Alvin, sponsors, call sponsor meetings, hobbies, stay connected to God. 100%, all great things. Keep it simple. Stanley, 10 Commandments, absolutely 100%. Uh, Gordo's trying to get a week sober. Just try for one day. Try for one day tomorrow. Make it day two. Count them. I'm huge. I was always into numbers. Still am. Uh, day 8 days was the longest I ever went without alcohol before I finally quit this time. It was I was about to crash on day 8 this time. Actually, my therapist talked to me about some of the things I should do and the techniques I should do when I go home and drink. I ultimately went home and I didn't drink. Uh, I listened to my family having fun in the other room, and I thought, I don't want to wash this away. I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't want to. Yeah, the alcohol helps wash away the pain, helps wash away the misery, but then it washes away a lot of other things, and then we wake up feeling like shit. So it really never helped. That's the way I look at alcohol. Uh, and then so I got through that day 8. I got to day 9, and I knew if I got to day 10 that all the alcohol would physically be out of my system. I got to day 10. I felt good. Uh, I felt proud that I made it to that day, because that was the longest I ever went without alcohol since I started at 15 years old. And then I got to day 11, day 12, day 13, and so on. By the time I got a couple weeks in, I was shooting for 30 days. I said, I'm still not going to say I'm never going to drink. All that beer was still in my fridge that I planned on drinking on day 8, and it remained there for 4 months. And I never was really that tempted to go in there and drink it. I got to 30 days. I felt so much better. And I just, my physically, mentally, everything. I was feeling better. I was feeling like I was healing. And then at 30 days, I made it. I was going to do 60. Got to 60, felt even better. Got to day 72, got through my strongest urge that I had to drink at that time. I was seeking an escape. I was feeling guilty and ashamed of the things that I did at the end of my drinking, my behaviors towards my family. I got through that urge. I felt proud. I felt strong, and I got over it. I got to 90 days, and then I just at that point, it was. I'm not going to say it was a breeze, because it wasn't. I was still in therapy. I was still angry and irritable at times, but I kept on it. And I got to about 6 months, and that was really when I stopped therapy. I stopped the medication I was on. Uh, Not completely. I went down to wean myself off the medication over that next few weeks. I went to therapy maybe like one or two more times to touch base, but then that was it. And I was kind of on my way. So take solace in the fact that you're here. You're doing something about it, Gordo. You're stronger than you think you are. Uh, Dark, crypto, positive habits. We don't need government and all their laws, regulations, licensing. Yeah, it's really just kind of a matter of, taking care of ourselves. Um, Joseph says, I grew up with an alcoholic father, not fun, but he has been sober for 5 years now, and I'm so proud of him. And wow, that's awesome. I love to hear that, Joseph. Congratulations to you and your father. And yeah, that's got to be a huge impact for you in your life. So that's great news. Um, Alcohol is artificial fun, Alvin says. Absolutely. Yeah, it's an enhancement. It enhances things for a short time. Synthetic is another word I like to use for that. It's not real fun. It's synthesized. We uh, and I used to always kind of think like, how can there be this like elixir of life that makes life better? Well, most of us think that alcohol is the best that there is, and in a lot of ways, I mean, that's not far from the truth. But then you stop drinking and you get some time without alcohol and you start to feel better and you start to think like that was all a lie. Like, you know, our society is so accepting of drinking. It's actually pushed. If you don't drink, you're the one that's not normal or the one that had a problem with it. And maybe there is some truth to that too, but at the same time, yeah, it's not real. It's not real at all. Thank you for subscribing, Alvin. Uh, let's see. Ramen noodles, 3 eggs, spinach. That sounds good. Man, it's getting to be lunchtime here. I got to eat my lunch and I got to head to work. So we're going to wrap this up here. Just want to go through a couple more. Uh, Chad, how long have you been sober? I've been sober for 5 years. It'll be 6 years, April 27th. So 6 years this spring. Donald says sober since Thanksgiving 2016. Congratulations to you, Donald. That's awesome. Going on 10 years. Uh, the money doesn't matter. The time spent does matter. True. Uh, yeah, money is only important to a certain degree, but yeah, time and experiences is so important. Um, let's see. Alvin says lived in Germany. Harper, good morning. As you can tell, I'm getting a little bit stuffy here. The more I talk, the more stuffy I get. Still trying to get over the cold, but glad that you guys joined me here this morning. This has been one of the more active live streams. Uh, your eyes have trauma in them. Well, my one eye does for sure because of the sty. But but yeah, I mean, I've overcome a lot in my life, but yeah, no, I don't have that sadness that I used to. I would always call my mood melancholy, especially after I got married, and reality kind of set in. I mean, I was thankful that I met my wife. I was thankful that we had a family and everything, but I like reality was really starting to set in. I was single in my 20s and early 30s, and then when I got married and reality was kind of setting in, and I had therapy, and I would say, man, I feel sad. Like I don't know what it is. But a lot of times I would recognize that the alcohol was making me more sad and actually was the thing that was really making me sad. Even though it seemed like it was helping, it was making me more miserable and more melancholy. It was like having that black cloud that was with the raindrops following you around all the time. That's what it was like going through addiction all those years. So, but thank you for, God bless you too, Mo. Thank you. Um, Thanks, Lenny. Good for you, bro. Yeah, you have a great day, Alvin. Lenny, alcohol sucks, 100%. Uh, let's see. The B would. It took me close to 25 years to realize I was an alcoholic. And it wasn't until going to AA meetings once a week with my girlfriend and listening to the stories that I realized that I was an alcoholic. Well, congratulations to you for getting into AA and having that work for you, and and going through that and listening to that and being open to that, because that sounds like it helped you tremendously. Uh, Need more sleep. Do you think I should drink ever? I already smoke a lot. So I mean that's a matter of preference. If something's working for you, then I mean it works for you. For me, if I could have continued drinking or smoking pot for that matter, or whatever it was, and not had those other things that I was struggling with not be an issue, then maybe I would have continued doing those things. But like I knew that I wasn't going to be able to fix those things if unless I put those things out of my life for some time, and then by the time I got through those things without it and learned about those things and how to cope with life and how to deal with those things and better myself and better those aspects of my life, I didn't want alcohol anymore. So like it doesn't it's not a thing that even matters anymore. And that's I think that was the goal all along. It's hard to know that when you first quit, because you just need to not drink or do drugs or whatever it is. Uh, and then you get to a point. So yeah, I'm not Josh, a non-drinker anymore. I don't drink. I don't. It's not a thing. It's not important to me. And I considered going back to marijuana, but I had issues with palpitations and feelings of I always forget the word for this, paranoia. But like panic, I'd have panic while I was high, and I didn't like it anymore. So with that said, I still considered trying it again in my alcohol-free journey. So I was still seeking an escape in some way, even though I would have those side effects. I didn't care. I needed something. But I didn't turn to it. I'm glad I didn't, because eventually I got to a point where I don't need any chemical. I don't need anything to feel happy. I don't need anything to feel joy. I don't need anything to cope. I don't need anything at all like that. Like I said, prayer, patience, those are the things that I need. Physical fitness, walking. Those are the things I need in my life. I don't need um, so, but like I said, to answer that question, if you are questioning what if something is working for you or not, there's a good chance that it's not working for you. So it's worth investigating that. But you can't really tell unless you give it up for a little bit of time. Because when we're under the influence of something, we're good at lying to ourselves. We're good at lying to ourselves about our issues with it, are abusing it, or whatever it is. We're good at lying about that to ourselves, but we're good at lying about a lot of other things too. But so we need distance from it. Then we can be honest with ourselves about what it is, what role it plays in our life, and um, then we can call it out when it comes calling. Say like, I don't need you, I don't want you, and I can do it without you, and then go from there. And then eventually you're just like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need that stuff. Uh, let's see. I'm a troll, like that. At least you're willing to admit it. Um, let's see. Alex Jones. That's so funny. I never forgot that, Primo. Thank you. Um, Spencer, that's good news. Yeah, just talking about it is important. Unemployed? No, I'm not unemployed. I work. I'm a driver, public transportation. In fact, I'm on my way to go now, so I probably do have to wrap this up. I wasn't expecting this many comments, but I'm glad that they're here. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. Let's see. Spencer says I opened up to a girl I've known all through high school, and my chest feels a lot lighter now. That's good. Get rid of the burdens, you know? That's huge. Uh, we don't need to carry those burdens around. They're heavy, you know, and it just weighs us down. We're not meant to do that. We're not meant to carry that heavy load around. Um, Russell Crowe. I haven't heard that one before, but I could see that, I suppose. Um, let's see. Yeah, I got a cold. Hello, Isaac. Welcome in. Burger Sleuth. Jesus is the truth. Amen to that. You get married now, prisoner. Just kidding. That's funny. No, marriage is a blessing. It's I mean, for me it is. I know there's a lot of bad marriages out there too, but I'm blessed. All the money you saved, Bill, absolutely, by not drinking. Yeah, a lot of money. A lot of money, man. I quit drinking in 91. Well, congrats, Bill. 91, that's awesome. Uh, let's see. Colton, I had a near death experience once and I didn't believe before, but I do now. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we all have our experiences that we come to faith with, and I used to kind of mock it. Our oldest daughter, she was in 2017. I'm not sure if I've talked about this in any of my videos or not, but like I think I have. But like she was reading the Bible from cover to cover that year, taking notes. I think it was a goal of hers, and I watched her do that. And I was struggling with one of my other daughters, and I remember going outside. This is I was unemployed at this time. I was drinking a lot, of course. It's just struggling mentally, trying to find work but not able to. And I went outside. She was out there, and I said, "Man, I don't know what to do with our other daughter." And what should I do? Should I go in and pray about it? And then I kind of laughed, and she's like, "Yeah, yeah, you should go pray." And I was like, "Yeah, I probably should." But I didn't realize that I was kind of like joking about it. But she goes, "Are you mocking me?" And I was like, "No, no, no." Like I got real serious real quick, you know. Like I realized I was, but and she recognized it too. But I was like, you know, no, I'm not joking. And then like a little bit later, I thought about that, and I still every now and then, like now, from time to time, think about that. And I don't know if it was jealousy that she was, closer to God, or you're, reading the Bible and like really into her faith, and I wasn't. I was in such a miserable place. Uh, I don't think it was jealousy, but I do think that it was meant to be like that for me to notice that, for her to be there going through that, for me to realize, you know what, that isn't something to be mocked. It's I need to open up to the idea of of God can help me through this. He's letting me make my own choices right now. That's the beautiful thing. I've learned that through my faith, is that God, he lets us do what we want to do. We can make our own choices. We can um, we can decide for ourselves. Uh, I did that. I did that for a long time, and I realized that, you know what, my way isn't working. I'm gonna try His way, and that's ultimately what I did, and it changed my life, like for the better, like 100%. It was like a 180. Um, but it was a slow process. Like I said, went from 2017 at that time to 2020, and then I quit drinking 6 weeks into the pandemic because my drinking was getting out of control. And like I said, a couple weeks before I quit, I was begging God, He listened. He knew I was struggling. He knew that I was binge drinking 7, 8 days in a row, and then mixing hard liquor in there and just going way overboard and feeling like death for a day or two. And he knew I wanted out of that, and I couldn't control it anymore. So that Will Wheaton, I've gotten Will Wheaton before. Yep, that's funny. Um, so so that's what happened, and Spencer, I appreciate you, and it's my pleasure to be here, really. And thank you for saying so. Uh, so I appreciate all of you guys being here, and for all of you guys that have subscribed, thank you. I'm gonna get on, get to work, and but I appreciate all you guys being here, taking your time out of your morning to be here, and we'll see you on the next one, episode 2. Have a great one.